Hey everybody, welcome to Fab Fit Friday. I have a few exciting things to talk about, and the first thing I'm going to talk about while I'm waiting for people to join me is that I hope I fixed my audio problem. Some of you have reached out to me to say that you can't hear what I'm saying and the volume is low. So my husband and I troubleshooted the issue, and I moved to a new and much more advanced webcam. So I'm trading in my little Logitech, which has served me well since the beginning of my live streaming experience, to this new AverMedia webcam. And in addition to what I hope is better audio, I also have much more control over the angle. Like, I can have a really wide angle if I wanted to. You could see my whole back view, much wider than this if I needed to do that. So I think going forward, when I'm going to be sharing different things, and if I need a bigger view, I will have it. And I'm going to tell you another exciting thing. My ditto form is too big for me, because when I went to Carol's at Ditto Form to get my body scan, I was about 15 pounds heavier than I am now. So I have super exciting news. Let me just stop and say hi to Janie. Hi, Janie. It's just you and me right now. Carol from Ditto Form runs her business in a way where she will plan scanning appointments, and then she travels around the country doing those appointments. And when she's going between Boston and New York, she is going to There's an echo? Oh, wait a minute. Let me turn this off. All right, good. Let's troubleshoot my audio. Let me shut off this. Oh, wait. All right, is it better now? Can you tell me if it's improved? I had my F3 audio going. Oh, audio's still echoing. All right, so let me see. During Zoom, this worked great, so I was all excited. I thought the audio was fixed. Let me just go to my settings. I'm going to go to my audio. All right, wait a minute. Oh, this works. It's out of sync? All right, let me switch this one up. Off this one. Is this better now? Can you hear me in sync with my lips now? Anyone? All right, so this is really weird because I did a test Zoom. Oh my gosh, this is horrible. I did a test for Zoom. This works. So are we good now? All right, so yay, we're yay. I'm going to go with yay. Okay, good. Phew. All right, so I think, all right, good. I think I fixed whatever the issue was. Excellent. All right, so as I was saying, oh good, I want my mouth to be moving at the same rate as my voice, so yay. All right. Okay, excellent. Oh, well, okay, so it's still quiet. All right, I'm going to have to troubleshoot this more. My audio recorder is showing that it's going, almost into the yellow. I'm going to have to work on it some more. I'll talk really loud to maybe countermand the quietness. Ugh, I thought I had it straightened out. Well, if you take a Zoom class with me, it works perfectly because I tested it during an actual class and then I did a private pants fitting and it was perfect. So I guess live might be a little different. I will play with that some more. But in any case, Carol is going to come here between her appointments in New York and Boston and help me fine-tune my dress form. So I'm super excited about that because I've been dying to use it for lots of projects and I can't because it's just too big in places where if I'm trying to fit something, it's throwing everything off. So that's my report on that. Now what I want to do is I'm going to switch my angle here. I'm going to show you nothing. I'm going to show you where we are on the pants that I've been working on. And if anybody missed it, let me just show you a picture here. I posted this on my Instagram, and I also, just get to that picture. I posted this on my Instagram, but I just want to show you here. I'm fairly happy with the fit of this pants. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the picture to adjust the angle of the leg darts. And I'm also going to show you the pieces. So let me just make myself bigger here. So it occurred to me, here are my pocket pieces, and I've already sewn those together. Now just to remind you, I'm going to show you the original pocket that I'm going to be, that I was inspired by here. So if you remember, there are these cute little pockets like that. Let me just blow it out a little bit lighter so you can see. All right, so I'm making this pocket, and I'm also going to make some top stitching under here. So these are my pieces. And what I realized was I should have made this a one-piece facing and pocket bag, because now I have a seam here and you can see I really don't need a seam. So I've got my fabric facings all lined up on the pocket bag. I'm going to stitch those down, okay, and then I'm going to stitch them to the front legs. And then let's look at those. Here is my top, or my my top of my front leg, and here is my lower leg. And what I just wanted to show you here, if any of you use that method to soften your denim by using Coca-Cola in the wash, I did a test. The top piece was cut out from denim that I had soaked in the Coke wash with detergent for 3 hours, and it came out really nice and soft. This was as stiff as the board before I washed it, so I was very happy with this. So then I decided to try to see if I could make it even softer, so I soaked it overnight in the same amount of Coke in a Coke wash. I used a 2-liter bottle of Coke, actually. I kept dumping it into the drawer, you put the detergent in the top, in the front loader washing machine. And I will tell you that soaking it for significantly longer did nothing to make it softer. So if anybody's wondering about, using Coca-Cola to soften your denim, just know that 3 hours is enough. And it may even be that you don't even have to soak it for 3 hours, but my overnight denim and my 3-hour denim feels exactly the same. So that was one of my little test things I did. So you can see here, I've got my top of my leg cut out and ready to go. So what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to start some construction, because the other big project I have going on is an embroidery project. I'm just going to show you. I'm making the senior gifts for the Eastern Connecticut State volleyball team, and they look like this. So this one is for my daughter, Abby, and I know she doesn't watch my live stream, so she won't see this, but it still has the stabilizer. And if anybody's interested for all sorts of tips and tricks for embellishing a fleece throw. I have a video that will be uploaded on Sunday for Embroidery Sundays, how to embroider on a fleece throw. So I will show you all the tips and tricks for this, including how to support all of the extra fabric, because you can see there's a ton of fabric, and how to get great results on a fluffy, nappy fabric like fleece. So I will show how to get your design into position. I will show how to get it in the hoop, how to use the basting feature, how to start embroidering. Also, if you have a Brother PRS 100, I'm showing how to add lettering to a design. So I imported this into my sewing machine and my embroidery machine, then I added built-in lettering. I'm going to show that. And then I'm also going to show how to remove the stabilizer. So I still need to shoot that part of the video, so that's why it's still on. But this is another thing I have going on. So for a bit today, I'm going to be working on these jeans and showing you some things. And then after that, I'm switching over to embroidery projects because I still have a few things to embroider for tomorrow. Tomorrow's a big game. If anybody is a lover of volleyball and they would like to watch a very exciting volleyball game, you can go to the Eastern Connecticut State University website and look, you know, the sports section, look to volleyball, find the schedule, and you can watch live. Now this is not D1 though, it's D3, so it's not like ESPN volleyball, but it is very exciting because we are playing the #1 team and we're #2. So that's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow all day because there's 2 games. So those are all my little reports. So now what I want to do is I'm going to show you the steps that I'm going to do to make these jeans. So my lower legs, I'm going to leave those off for now because I always like to work with the smallest part of the garment. So the lower legs are going to go bye-bye. And I'm actually going to move this out of the way for a minute too. I'm going to get my sewing machine over here. And I'm going to stop scaring you with this bright light. Oh, Diane's going to see me at the game. Oh, Pat says once you change your sound settings, the picture clarity also improved. Thank you for the Coca-Cola test info. Well, you're welcome. You know, I've heard of people using Coke, and I never tried it myself, I'll be honest. So this is my first foray into using Coca-Cola to try to, you know, make a denim nicer, and it really did do a nice job. All right, so I'm going to try to get this to be a good angle here. All right, let's see. Maybe I'm just going to pick this up a little like this. I think that's good. Okay. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to plug this in. And I'm going to plug my machine in here. All right, so my first step is I have to sew the, let me get this so it's really sharp. There we go, I think that's good. All right, we have to sew the denim facing onto the pocket bag. That's the first step. And let me just make it, hi Diane. I like to sew. I didn't say hi to everybody. Hi everybody. Thank you guys for joining me. All right, so I'm going to sew these denim facings onto the pocket bags, and I actually think I need to put a couple pins in here just to hold it. So I'm just going to put the pins, and notice I'm putting the pins in a spot where I'm not going to have to remove them as I sew. Just 3 pins to hold it into position, and I'm going to stitch this on like a patch. And I'm just going to use my straight stitch. Now I do want to tell you that my favorite way to do any sort of denim jean project is to clean finish all the edges first, and I did that with a narrow 3 thread. Okay, so all the pieces have clean finished edges. That way I don't have to go back and forth between the serger and the sewing machine. So I'm just going to sew this pocket bag on. I'm just going to take one more stitch. Actually, this pin is going to get in the way. And I'm just serging inside the looper thread of the narrow 3-thread stitch that I clean finished the edges. So I'm just going to go all the way around. Oops, back tack there. Alright, so there's one. Let me just quickly sew this one on. I think 2 pins is enough. Okay, now obviously these pockets are actually only decorative. I'm obviously not going to be putting anything in them, because remember, I don't like to put things in my front pockets because I already have a tummy there to pad my front view. Oh, Janet, oh, oh, like to sew, don't worry. People call me a bunch of different names. It's fine. All right, so let's just sew this. Now, if you didn't have a serger, you could use a 3-step zigzag to sew these on as well. And that would clean finish the edge and sew it on in the same step. All right, so now I've got those sewn on. And the next step is we're going to sew them to the front pocket edge here. So I've got 1 pocket's here, so I'm just gonna match that up. And the way I can tell which side goes with which is this side of my pocket bag is a little bit longer than this one, and they're not matching up here because I added a little bit here and here just because I wanted to make sure that everything would fit, and I can chop that extra off later. But what I want to show you is if I sew this like this, flip it around so it's like this, then this is wrong. So it needs to be wrong side facing right side like this. So this is the right one over here. So wrong side. Uh-oh. All right, so you can see that I made a boo-boo. I made 2 lefts. I made 2 lefts or rights. So this one's not going to make it to here. But honestly, in this case, I don't care because I'm not going to do a fly on these jeans. I'm going to do these as pull-on jeans because for my shape, I can pull them on. And then after I get a pair made and I wear them for a while, I'm going to see if I need to make any more changes, and then I will show you how to do the fly that I'm planning for this. So my mistake was I made 2 of the same leg, and I'll show you. I'm just noticing it now. See how both shorter ends are over here? So that was a boo-boo, and it was because I was using batik fabric that doesn't have a wrong side. So I am going to just put this like this. I'm going to match them up and I'm going to sew them. And I'll just put a couple pins in here to hold it. And I'm going to do both of these in tandem. So here's my other one. So this one's going to go like this. So this one will be right and the other one will be wrong, but that's all right. Now, part of when you design your own pattern, the one thing you have to think about is you don't get instructions. So that's why I like to really play with making a few different pairs to see about my construction, because already I've made a note that I want to make this a 1-piece pocket bag so I don't have a seam at the bottom. So, all right, so if I flip this, then it will be correct. All right, so now let me sew these on. Like this. And I'm just going to do use about a 3/8 inch seam allowance here. So I've got this wide foot, so I'm going to move my needle over just a little bit. And I'm going to just stitch this. Now when I get here, I'm going to have to pivot a little bit. Take a stitch, pivot, take a stitch. All right, and then we're just going to stitch across the bottom. Move that pin. All right, so I'm going to pivot, stitch, pivot. So I don't want a hard point there, but I want it to be, you know. Okay, so there's one. Now I'm going to do the second one. Take a stitch, I'm going to pivot, I'm going to take a stitch, I'm going to pivot, stitch. All right. Okay. Again, I'm going to pivot a little bit here. Okay. All right. All right. So now let's look at what we have. I did a little bit deeper of a seam allowance than I would normally do. So I am going to trim this down to 1/4 because I want it to turn nice. So let's just trim this down to 1/4. And I think I might even just put a little clip right here and right here. Okay, so it'll be able to turn nicely to the wrong side. So let me clip the other one, and then we're going to understitch our pocket opening. So again, I'm just going to trim this down to 1/4. And I'm going to clip. And I'm going to clip. All right, so now I'm going to come back over to my machine and I'm going to understitch. Like to Sew asked if the pattern has a side seam, and actually the pattern does not have a side seam. This is the new design I've been working on, and let me just show you what it looks like. So it actually has no side seam, and it has a knee seam. So it's got a 2-piece leg. And then there's also decorative darts on the front and back leg that I built in extra fabric for those darts, but you can also use them for fitting, as well as these horizontal darts I think will help, these horizontal seams I think will help people if they need to take up extra fabric behind the knee as well. So I'm hoping that this design is going to be easy to fit, even though there is no side seam, because adding the darts created the shape in that straight side seam, because there is no side seam, so it's a fold. So basically it's drawing it in where you need to draw it in. All right, so let's go back to here, and I'm just going to understitch. So understitching is when you sew through the seam allowance and both seam allowances and the facing fabric or the lining fabric. So I'm just going to sew here, and I'm just gonna, as I understitch, I'm gonna just pull away like this, and that's gonna encourage this lining or pocket bag to stay to the wrong side. And I'm trying to sew maybe, a generous 1/16 or 1/8 of an inch away. I mean, mostly I just want to get this on so I can see how it works. So I'm not doing my best sewing here. Now, here's an important thing about understitching. When you get to the opposite side, you want to create a straight line between your seam here. So if it's collapsing and making a V, it's not going to fold up correctly. So that's why pulling it away from each other and creating that nice straight seam, or this nice straight transition, is important. Okay, so let me just show you that one more time here. So I'm starting with it straight. See how that's straight? So you don't want to start at an angle, you want to start straight. And I want to make sure I'm sewing through all the seam allowances. So I'm just gonna sew along here. So as I'm getting to the other end, not only am I pulling this way, but I'm also pushing it like this. And that's what helps me make that straight edge. Okay. And this is how I sew all my front pockets, not just this one, but every front pocket style. All right. All right, so let's look and see what we have now. You know, doing this will allow the pocket to almost fold to the wrong side with really very little pressing. You can see already I'm getting a nice shape there. So let me get my iron. Get my little pressing surface here. So what I'm going to do, oops, I'm just going to have this be down here. Okay, so the first thing is I'm going to position this on my pressing surface, and I'm just going to hand press it into shape first. So you can see I can get a pretty nice shape without even ironing anything. Then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use a little spray starch here just to moisten it. And then I'm going to press it. So I want all this to lay nice and flat. Okay. And then if we look at it from the right side, you can see we have this nice crisp front pocket opening here. Just gonna love this up. All right, so let me press my second one. So again, the first step is I like to sort of get it into position with my fingers first. And then I like to introduce the iron. I'm just going to give this a touch of okay. So I've got that all nice and pressed. Let's look at it from the right side. All right, so we've got a lovely shape. All right, so that's good. Now the next step is we want to top stitch Now we're going to top stitch the front opening. Let me just see what people said here. Hi, Linda Lee, welcome. Pat says, understitching tutorial, all the things that make a garment better that never show. I know there's a lot of unsung heroes in garment construction. Understitching is one and pressing is another one. And Diane does her pockets just like me. Yay, Diane. All right, so I'm going to use, I think I'm going to use the standard topaz colored top stitching thread. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get, I have to obviously switch to a top stitch needle here, because if you're going to use top stitching thread, you need to have that bigger needle. And, oh, maybe I'll use pink. Pink would be fun. So this is Coats & Clark's top stitching thread, and this is YLI jean stitch thread. I will tell you, I want to show you the difference here. If you look at the weight of these threads, you can see that the YLI is a little bit heavier than the Coats & Clark. Some sewing machines have a hard time with YLI because it's so heavy. So I'm going to use the pink one. I think this machine would do the YLI, but I'm afraid I don't have enough thread here. So I'm going to use the pink, and I'm going to switch myself to a size 16 top stitch needle, and then I'll just leave it in for the rest of the class here. Top stitch needles have a large eye, and they have a little groove in the scarf that gives the thread, a heavier thread, a place to settle in. So if you're going to use top stitching thread, use a top stitch needle. So we're going to go with pink. You know me in colors. Pink is not really my favorite color, but I think it'll look kind of cool. So I'm going to get this here. I'm just going to thread this. All right. Now the final jeans are going to have some top stitching under the pocket. I'm not going to add that this time. I'm going to sort of make a beta version of these jeans. So I'm going to do the bare minimum in terms of you know, decorative things. So I'm going to put my presser foot so it's right on the edge here, and I'm going to move my needle over all the way, so I'm going to get like a 1/4 inch away, and I'm going to make my stitch length, let's do almost 4, 3.7, and I'm just going to slowly stitch, and of course when I get over here I'm going to have to pivot a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to do a pivot. I'm going to pivot one more time. I'm not gonna tack my I'm not gonna secure with a back tack there, because I'm gonna catch that into the waist. Okay, so that's kind of a nifty top stitching there. Hi, Sally. Sally's saying hi because it's been a few weeks since she joined me. We've missed Friday mornings and getting together with all of you. Well, I'm so happy you poked in to say hi. We miss you. All right, so what you want to look for here is, see on the wrong side, you can't see any pink. That means your tension is good. If you see little pink dots in your top stitching, make your needle tension a little bit higher. And you can see what happened here. When I tried to back tack, I got this glob. So that's why I decided not to top stitch over here. So that completes the pocket. So it's going to look like this. I mean, it doesn't complete the pocket, but that's how it's going to look when it's closed. Let me just make that a little bit brighter here so you can see. All right, so see, that's how it looks. So let me just do the second one. Whoa. This is the downside of using black fabric. My lighting is a little bit hard to maintain here. All right, so let me just do this again. No, I'm not back tacking. I almost started to back tack again. All right, so I'm going to pivot once. Then I'm going to pivot again. All right. Excellent. All right, so now I've got pockets. Push my machine back here. Oh, before we switch off of that, I'm going to do one more thing. This is my belt loops. And what I want to show you here is I cut a 2-inch strip of denim, and then I tri-folded it after I clean finished the edges. And if you're making belt loops and you're planning ahead and you have time for this step, you see my tri-fold here. I folded it and then I clipped it with the Wonder Clips. Those Wonder Clips will help encourage the fabric to stay folded the way it was pressed. So if you clip it when it's warm still, after you press it, it will sort of encourage that. So I'm going to take all my Wonder Clips off now, and I'm going to top stitch. I'm going to top stitch my belt loops. So you'll notice when you do belt loops, you do a long strip, and then you cut the individual belt loops from your strip. So I'm going to start on this side right here. And again, I want to get pretty close to the edge. So I'm just going to stitch right along. Now here's the thing. If I go haywire or a little bit crooked, I've made a strip long enough that I could kind of fussy cut neat top stitch sections when I get done. So there's one half, or one side. Now I'm going to do the other side. I wanted to make substantial belt loops here because, remember, this doesn't have a traditional waistband. It has a yoke, and because I'm not doing a zipper, I just wanted to make really substantial belt loops. Okay, that's going to take care of my top stitching for now, so you can see what my belt loops look like. Let me lighten that up so you can see. So see, that's what my belt loops look like. Oh, Sally wants to know if I have plans yet for a virtual pants sewing class in 2022. And actually, the answer to that, I believe, is yes. I'm going to do pants for, I think, Master the Art of Sewing again. And I may have talked about that with Julie at Fabric Mart too. So there will be a virtual pants fitting. I'm not 100% sure which one it's going to be yet, but I know, I will have pants fitting virtually in 2022. Definitely. All right, so I've got my belt loops all set. I'm going to put those aside for now, and we're going to look at what we have here. If I fold up this pocket into position, this is how it's going to look. Okay, so I'm kind of excited about that. And that's pretty much finished for now. I think what I'll do, I'm going to switch my, let me switch my top stitching thread for regular thread again. Okay, so let me just look here. Oh, of course, my bobbin is getting really skinny. I'm going to leave it though. Hopefully we'll have enough for class. We'll see. All right, so I'm going to bring back my regular thread. Like this. And let me just thread this. Now the good news is it's really easy to thread a top stitch needle because the hole is so big. All right, so I am just going to, let's lay this down and get this exactly into position. You know, I want to make sure it's laying flat and everything is lining up. So what I'm going to do here is I'll just put 2 wonder clips at the top, and I'm just going to top stitch this down so it doesn't flop around. Oh, wait a minute. I have to sew the short ends of the inside, actually. In the front, I don't have to because that's, at the center front, I don't have to because that's going to go into the center front seam. But we do have to sew this little seam first. So let me do that. See, this is what I mean about not having instructions. You have to kind of plan it out as you go. So I'm going to start at the base of the pocket, and I'm just going to sew up. And I'm going to make my stitch length short again, 2.5. I'm just going to sew these together. Okay, so there's one. Let me just sew the other one. And again, just the center front, just the side piece right here. Nice and neat. All right. Now I can sort of pin them into position here. Let me get this one. All right, so you can see I want to make sure everything's laying nice and flat. I'm just gonna put a couple wonder clips here. Put one there, and I will put one right here. And then I'm going to also finish clipping this one. So basically just top stitching or basting the layers together will just keep the pocket from flapping around. Oh, Like to Sew's name is Queenie, everybody. I love that. That is so cool. Okay, Queenie. I'm really excited about this pattern too. I am sending it to a few pattern testers to double check some things, but I'm hoping to have it ready in either November or beginning December. I'm very excited about this. All right, so I'm gonna just baste these together. I'm just gonna go straight across. Okay, there's one. And then what do I do with my other one? Yeah. Drop it on the floor. let's do this one. You know what, you guys have found me, like if you're new to my channel or if you haven't been following along since the very beginning, I will tell you that in the beginning I made all of the staples or all of the basic things that you need to have. So like I have a t-shirt pattern, I have a regular jeans pattern, I have yoga pants, I have all the staple things in my pattern collection. Now going forward, I'm going to try to work on things that are unique. So I'm going to take the basic shapes and I'm going to create other fun designs now. You know, things that have gathers or style lines or pleats. All right. Okay. All right, so now we have a completed pocket, and you can see it lays nice and flat front and back. Okay, so the next step is we're going to sew the lower leg together with the upper leg, and after we do that, I am going to, oh actually, you know what, let's do the leg darts first, because that's separate. You know, that's, those are independent of the leg too. So here is my concern or my consideration on these leg darts. What I want to show you, I'm going to get that picture of me in my all my photos here. I want to show you that back view again because you can see, if I zoom in here, you can see that the dart at the top is sort of, it looks like it's traveling over towards the side seam. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it where it is at the bottom, but I'm going to move it over at the top about an inch, maybe an inch and a quarter. And the way I'm going to figure that out is I'm going to measure where it is on the back leg of my muslin to draw where I'm going to sew it on here. So we're going to shift that a little bit. So let me show you how we're going to mark this. I've got my muslin here. Let me make this a little bit darker. All right, so here is the muslin that I had on me. Okay, and you can see I only did darts on one leg because I wanted to play with how they were working. But basically, what I'm going to do is I am going to measure at the knee. This is the front leg. So from the seam at the knee over, that is, well, a half an inch. So it's 4.5 inches plus the half inch seam allowance. So it's 5 inches away from the inseam down here, and it's 2 inches above the seam itself. So in the front, I'm going to measure 5 inches over, plus I'm going to go up 2 inches from the edge. And I think I'm going to use my lovely yellow chalk liner. And I'm going to mark the 5 inch here. So it's going to start right there, and it's going to be right there. Okay. Then I'm going to measure let me see. I'm going to measure how long it is. So this measures 9 inches long. So I'm going to go up 9 inches. I'm just going to make a level for that. So 9 inches is right here. And then I'm going to find out how far away from the inseam it is so I can recreate that, because the front ones were good. So 6.5 inches. So I'm going to measure 6.5 inches. Puts me right here, maybe a little bit more right there. Then I can connect that line. So that's how I'm figuring out the position of my darts. And then the top dart in the center had a 3/8 inch bite. So in the middle, we have 9, so 4.5 right here in the middle. Okay, I'm just going to mark one side of it. So I'm going to measure 3/8. And see, what I'm hoping is when you guys, if anyone works with this pattern, you'll be able to customize these darts, and I think it's going to help fit. Like this. Can you call your dad? Because he's calling me and I can't talk to him. All right, so let me see. So there's the dart. Like this. Okay, so there's my dart. So that's the dart on the front leg. Let me see. Oh, Kay is here. Hi, Kay. Kay says, do the front and back vertical darts have to be the same length, or can they be bigger on the back if needed? Well, that's the beauty of this. You can customize this to be anything you want. Let's say and this is what I'm going to recommend when people start working with this pattern. I'm going to recommend that you try them on first before you sew the darts, because if you have enough ease and you don't need as much shaping, you could actually make like a little pin tuck. So it looks like it's a dart, but it isn't. So I'm really hoping this is going to be able to help people fit. And speaking of which, we're going to look at the back darts now. Now in the back, I felt like this dart was kind of high up if I did not put a back pocket. Now the original pattern does not have a back pocket, but I think I'm going to put back pockets in there, and I'm going to have the tip of the dart be underneath the pocket. So instead of shortening it, I'm just going to leave it there, because if I wasn't going to do a back pocket, I think I would lower this about 2 inches, because it was really high on my butt. Let me show you. So see how it's like almost at the crease of, you see that's really high right there. So like if I wasn't going to have that, I think I would in fact shorten that. But again, because I'm going to have a pocket, I'm going to leave it. So the other thing I have to do is I have to move it over a little bit because it's too close. It looks like it's curving. So I'm going to move it over. I'm just going to move it over 1.25 inches to here. Okay, so that's where I'm going to move it. Of course, that's yellow and you can't see it. So my new dart is going to go from here to here, like this. Okay, so I'm changing the position of the top because it looked like it was going off to the side. So to figure that out, we are going to start again down here, and we're going to measure from the inseam to the dart. And that is 5 1/4, so 5 3/4 if we add the seam allowance. Oh, Kay needs hers higher on the butt too. Well, that's why we're going to put back pockets, Kay, so we can camouflage the top end of the dart. So we're going to do 5 3/4. So I'm going to measure. Oh, and it's in the back. It's still 2 inches from the bottom. So here I'm going to go up 2 inches, and then I'm going to measure 5 3/4, which will put me right here. So it's going to be here, and then it's going to be right here. Okay, and then I'm going to measure the length of my dart. So this measures 11 inches, and it's by then we're already in the we're already at the center back seam, not the inseam. So from my center back seam, it's going to be 6 inches from my center back seam. So we're going to go up 11 inches. I'm just going to make a level here. And then I'm going to measure 6 inches from my center back seam over here. And that's going to put me, that seems really, well, I'm going to go with it because I'm going to try it. I don't know, maybe I'll base these in to see. But I mean, if we do the math, it's going to look like this. Now this looks really crooked, flat, but I think when it's sewn up on my body, I think it's going to straighten out. So I'm going to test this and I'll show you how that looks. That looks really angled. But you have to remember, like I'm looking at it like this, and it looks like it's pretty good. But remember, the back curls around to the front this much. Like my back crotch is way over here, so I think that's why that looks funny on the flat leg. So I am going to, now I'm going to measure the dart intake in the middle. And I think my back is even a slightly less. Yeah, see, my back is about 1/4. So my back dart is smaller than my front dart. So I'm going to find the approximate center here and just draw myself a little 1/4 on either side like this. See, and the other thing is these darts can't have, when you're drawing your fisheye dart, don't have it come to a point. You know, nothing can be a point in the middle. So that's why I drew those long lines, and then I'm going to connect the lines like this. Oops. All right, so I'm going to sew these up, and I will show you how they look. Now here's the thing. Okay, so these are my darts. I'm not going to sew them today because we're already at an hour and I really have a ton of things to do today. So this is kind of a short hour tutorial. But I'm going to sew these fisheye darts. I'm going to finish these and then I'll post pictures. And what I want to show you here is the pants themselves. The way they'll be really visible and it will look like a designer detail instead of just making a dart for fitting is the darts are actually top stitched. So, oops. So see how there's actual top stitching right along the dart, and then there's a bar tack on either end of this dart on the right side. So see how there's a little bar tack there? Okay, so this is going to be a cool detail, I think. So I'm going to sew these. I'm going to, finish, I'll work on them some more, and depending on how much time I have this week, I may finish them next week. I'll probably have to finish them in Fab Fit Friday next week, but I'll get them done enough so I can show you how those darts are laying on my leg. So that's going to be my plan going forward for this pattern, and then I'm going to be sending it off to get tested, and that's really my plan for this. So anyway, so I hope you enjoyed this little insight into my new jeans pattern, not insight, but watching me work on this. If anybody has any questions about the pattern or questions about anything, please let me know. Sunday I'll be posting my how to embroider a fleece throw video. And then next week for Fit Tip Tuesday, I have a list of questions that I wrote down from subscribers who commented on my channel. So I'll be picking one of those to answer for Fit Tip Tuesday. I'm not sure which one I'm going to do yet, but I'm going to try to get through some Q&As. And that's my plan for now. I'm pretty sure next week we'll be working on these some more, so I hope you're enjoying watching me muddle around with my new pattern. I'm very excited about it. But anyway, so I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. For me, tomorrow it's going to be volleyball, 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 and yeah, and then there's a bunch of games during the week too. So for me, I'm going to be having all sorts of fun. But I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend yourselves, and I will see you again next week. And I just want to thank you all for watching. I really appreciate the fact that you join me and, you know, keep me company while I'm sewing, because otherwise I'd be talking to myself, which I do sometimes. But anyway, that's my report. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you again really, really soon.